Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're listening to the Podium Podcast. And welcome back to another episode. It has been a while. There has been, of course, the summer break for Formula One, but racing is back to our screens this weekend for the 2025 Dutch Grand Prix around the very historic, very infamous circuit Zandvoort. One of my favourite in terms of having a Grand Prix there. It came onto the calendar in 2021, and from then on I was just hooked to it because the circuit is just awesome to drive. It's the elevation changes, the corners, the straights, the banking in the final corner makes it all the better. Throw in a bit of that Dutch weather in terms of rain and unpredictability, and you have a perfect scenario for a great Grand Prix. And with many of the Grand Prix we've had in the last couple of years, they have been fairly, I suppose, interesting. Maybe last year's was a little bit of a snooze fest, but regardless, there were still fights for the lead, unpredictable weather, which makes Formula One great. But this weekend we have a lot to get through in terms of storylines and I suppose predictions for this weekend, because we are returned from a summer break. A lot has happened, a lot has shifted in the world of Formula One, and there is no better place to start than the news which took the headlines this summer in terms of in the Formula One world, and it is of course Cadillac, the new F1 team, the 11th team on the grid, who will be taking the grid in 2026. The American team have announced that Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez will be forming their first ever F1 lineup. Both drivers have had, I suppose, immense experience over the years. Valtteri Bottas has had, I suppose, since 2013, whilst Checo Perez has been there since 2011. So both of them have got an immense amount of experience, and to bring to a young team, experience is what you need, which should really on paper suit the team and the driver relationship well. However, of course, there were people who didn't make the cut for the American team, mainly people like Mick Schumacher, Alex Palou, Pato O'Ward, who are drivers that have been, Felipe Drogovic even, drivers that have been in and around the F1 circuits, but who haven't really made their mark on the pinnacle of motorsport. Was it the best move for Cadillac? I would say it was a good move, a sensible move, more than anything else. You need experts, you need experience in the team, which is young. You need to know what you're doing, and drivers like Valtteri and Checo can bring that element to this team. However, it also leaves a lack of room for growth. You look at Checo, you look at Valtteri, they have already had the pinnacle of their careers. They will be, after a couple of years, be looking to go out of the sport. Cadillac, for me personally, need a little bit of, I suppose, growth in that team, and with a younger driver, that would have helped them a lot. Would I have started the team off with a younger driver and an elder driver? Quite possibly, but we'll see, time will tell, and having two older drivers will be better than having two younger drivers, so they are playing their cards very close to their chest in terms of, I suppose, trying something incredibly different. But it is great to have an 11th team on the, I suppose, track for next year. It also means that silly season will kick off now. It was, compared to last year, it is a very delayed silly season because there are a couple of teams who have still not confirmed their lineups whatsoever. Two teams on the paddock, which are Mercedes and Racing Bulls. Now, Mercedes have been obviously in the news with Max Verstappen. You know, this season it's been a recurring storyline that Max always wants his, I suppose, epic Hollywood move to Mercedes, which means that for George Russell and Kimi Antonelli, they have not put pen to paper. In the press today, George Russell was asked about where his future lies ahead of him, and he said openly that he is still taking his time in terms of signing the contract, and that he, for him, has other options in that as well. We do think that Antonelli will probably be most likely to re-sign with Mercedes for next year, being that he is a youngster and he's had some moments of utter brilliance. He has had some poor, I suppose, races, but that is all about being a rookie and with him showing, some sort of prosperity, it is business as usual for Mercedes in that camp. But with George Russell and Max Verstappen, there's always going to be elements of, I suppose, uncertainty. And George Russell still coming into the second part of the season, for me, should really get pen to paper with Mercedes, because at least it keeps him in a better state of mind when it comes to on-track performances. We also have RB, who are still not confirmed their lineup, with Isaac Hadjar and Liam Lawson in their seats right now. Reason being is that the new Arvid Lindblad, the new kid on the block, it seems, with Red Bull's Junior Academy, might make an appearance in Formula 1 next year. We are still not sure yet, but they've got a lot to choose from in the Red Bull family, and they want to choose wisely. Alpine have also only announced Pierre Gasly for the first seat in that French team. They still have not secured Franco Colapinto nor Jack Doohan in that sense, because both of them haven't had the best, I suppose, start to their Alpine careers. Regardless, they still need to sign, and there might be other options than the Australian and the Argentinian, which the French might want to keep an eye on, being Mick Schumacher, Dragovic, Arvid Lindblad, Alex Palou, Matteo Award. There's countless. Another one just for Zandvoort this weekend is that in order for it to change from a one-stop race in the dry, they have opted for two main decisions which they have done to make the Grand Prix more of a two-stop. First one being that they've gone a step softer, which we've seen quite often this year with the tyre choices. It has gone up to a C2, C3 and C4 tyre choice for the Grand Prix, and which I haven't seen often in the world of Formula 1. But the FIA have announced that they are increasing the pit speed limit for the Dutch Grand Prix, rather than 60 kilometers an hour, which we see at rather narrow circuits, be it a street circuit or just a narrow pit lane. They've upped it to 80 kilometers an hour, which is around 47 miles per hour, which means that they hope that more people will opt for a two-stop strategy rather than a one-stop strategy, with the increase in softness of the tyre compounds. Upgrades-wise, for Zandvoort, many teams have not really changed they have not brought an upgrade for this weekend. Reason being is that it is more setup compared to upgrade package circuit. The only people that have changed setup upgrades, who have brought upgrades to Zandvoort, are Ferrari. They have bought a suspension upgrade in order to help with high-speed corners to bring more downforce in. Many teams will, of course, change their setup, though, for a high downforce setup, because Zandvoort is a very twisty, tight, bending circuit with a lot of corners and not many straights. So they are very, very going to be focused on making their car as nimble as possible in the corners. Weather also becomes a factor in terms of setup. It is raining as expected in the Netherlands all weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It won't get more than 20 degrees on either day, on all the days, and there is a 90% chance of rain all weekend, which means that it will most likely be a wet race. Hopefully not wet enough that it will stop the race, but wet enough that we'll have a fairly interesting race. Now, for the predictions, of course, let's go for qualifying first. Qualifying, I will say P5, I'm going to go for Charles Leclerc, as Verstappen in his home country goes for P4, and the top three will be the two McLarens and George Russell in the third. Who will take pole? Lando Norris, with Piastri in second. Moving on to the race, I think that Leclerc will finish P5 as he's qualified. Russell will move down to P4 as Max Verstappen will get a home podium. But who will win out of the McLaren battle? The ongoing championship fight now down to just 8 points coming into the last part of the next half of the season. I do think Lando Norris will win the 2025 Dutch Grand Prix. Reason being, he won last year by a country mile to Max Verstappen, who has seemed so dominant here. He has got a raw pace round here. Chuck in the weather. I think it is going to be Lando's day on Sunday. In the middle of the race, which is just based on vibes, it is just going to be Piastri, Norris, Verstappen, Russell, and Antonelli. Biggest good surprise, I'm going to say Max. Max has had pretty much a very poor couple of races. In Hungary, he finished P7. In Belgium, he finished off the podium in P4. In Silverstone, he finished in P8 or P9. In Austria, he crashed. It has been not the best run of form for him. So I think with a podium in the home Grand Prix, he'll do quite well. Biggest flop, and I'm going to say Liam Lawson will be the biggest flop here. Actually, no, not Liam Lawson. I'm going to go for Yuki Tsunoda to be the biggest flop here. And I'm going to say that there will be 2 red flags in quali. I think that is a perfect place to wrap up the 2025 Dutch Grand Prix review. Make sure to like and subscribe and have a simply lovely day. Goodbye.